G'day, I'm Andrew Marshall with the Northern Australia Climate Program at the University of Southern Queensland, and this is a short summary of the Bureau of Meteorology's climate outlook for Queensland for the weeks and months ahead, issued on the 23rd of October 2025. So we'll take a look at the rainfall outlooks to begin with, starting with these outlook scenarios. And these are the rainfall totals that have a 75% chance of occurring for your region. So looking ahead to the 3 months from November to January, as we move into the wet season for Northern Australia, we're seeing a 75% chance of up to about 50 millimetres for parts of southwestern Queensland and around 100 to 200 millimetres for central regions, increasing to more than 300 millimetres for parts of the far east and north. And you can use this magnifying glass feature here to drill deeper into the forecast, specifying your location of interest to break the forecast down into the chance of different rainfall amounts occurring. And this gives you an idea of how conditions are likely to be compared to the historical median. Now, taking a quick look at the Bureau's northern rainfall totals since the 1st of September, and these small pockets of green here indicate where more than 50 millimetres of rain has fallen, and this is about the amount of rainfall required to stimulate plant growth. All right, now let's look at the temperatures, and the differences from average for maximum temperature show warmer conditions across Queensland for the 2 weeks from the 28th of October to the 10th of November. And here the average is calculated over the 1981 to 2018 period for this time of year. For minimum temperature, we're also expecting warmer than average conditions over the next 2 weeks. And looking at the chance of extremes map for the 3 months from November to January, we're seeing an elevated chance of unusually warm days across much of Queensland and unusually warm nights across the state. And by unusually warm, we mean the highest 20% of historical temperature records for this time of year based on the 1981 to 2018 period. Now, these long-range forecasts for rainfall and temperature do provide the best local guidance for climate, so that's our focus here. And these forecasts consider all ocean and atmosphere conditions that affect seasonal weather and climate. But like me, if you're interested in some of the climate indicators that can influence the forecasts, we'll have a quick look at these now. And the El Nino Southern Oscillation remains neutral, and while there are signs of possible La Nina development in the ocean and atmosphere, they're not yet strong enough and have not yet been sustained for long enough to meet Bureau criteria for an active event. The Indian Ocean Dipole, or the IOD, is now underway, and the Bureau's model predicts the negative IOD event to continue throughout spring with a return to neutral in early summer. And this is consistent with most international models and the typical IOD life cycle. The Madden-Julian Oscillation, or the MJO, has been active and strong over the Indian Ocean in the last week, but it's forecast to weaken over the maritime continent region to the north of Australia in the next few days. And the Southern Annular Mode, or the SAM, is forecast to dip briefly to negative values in the next few days before returning to neutral conditions. The sea surface temperature outlook now is also likely to be influencing the forecasts for Australia. This shows warmer than average waters around most of Australia, persisting for the November to January period, particularly to the southeast. And sea surface temperatures in the Australian region have been the warmest or the second warmest on record for each month since July last year. And now turning to the pasture growth outlook from long paddock for the 3 months from October to December, we are expecting to see pasture growth returning to northern, central and eastern parts of the country in response to the expected rainfall in the months ahead. Finally, looking at the Cattle Comfort Index prototype forecast at nacpi.org.au, index values between 30 and 35 degrees represent moderate stress to cattle, values between 35 and 40 degrees represent severe stress, and values above 40 degrees are considered to be extreme. And we're expecting varying heat stress conditions over Northern Australia, with some extreme conditions to be aware of in the days ahead. So for more info and updates, please visit the Bureau's climate pages at bom.gov.au/climate. If you have any questions about recent conditions or the use of weather and climate forecasts, please reach out to your local climate mate, and you can read more about the Northern Australia Climate Program at nacpi.org.au. See you next time.